right here we have two people coming from Napa and regarding this notice of violation, getting evicted from the place, a property you've owned for 34 years, and you're victims of the Hennessy fire back in 2020, and they're now trying to kick you off of your property because of basically a bureaucratic nightmare. So yeah, I mean, so Kelly Cowhill, who's the code compliance officer, she came up to you about 2 weeks ago and issued this notice, and she basically just called you up and said, we're evicting you.
Yes, within an hour.
And so they're evicting you because you are living on tents in your property because you haven't been able to rebuild since the fire.
Without the assistance of FEMA.
And so FEMA, you've been getting knocked from side to side with
FEMA, SBA.
The Small Business Association. So you haven't been able to get your loans from SBA. FEMA gave you only $6,000 for rent for resident, but it has not come back in terms of helping you with remediation. And you gave FEMA 2 contracts, right?
Yes,
two
bids.
contracts to build a home, which they requested that we get, and we turned them into them. We've supplied them with all the information they requested. Both the agencies, both SBA, Red Cross, and FEMA, with all the things that they required. And then SBA lost our files, and we can't get back in the system because we're actually, the computer sees us and so won't let us back in the system to enter a new file. So, and that's what they wanted us to do, is start a new file.
And so while you've been trying to rebuild, they're basically just they're telling you they're going to start finding you thousands and thousands of dollars until you leave your property, and they basically want you to camp on the streets, I guess. Is
Yeah.
it? I mean, they're not offering any kind of alternative housing arrangement.
No assistance. It's you're going to leave your property, which we're already homeless, living in a tent, and they want us to be really homeless, living on the street.
And they're going to basically steal your property if
Yes,
you
exactly.
if you don't comply. And there's no way to comply because what they're asking you is to jump through a bunch of things that cost money. And you're
money.
lots of money. And you're farmers, right? I mean, you're doing agriculture.
We were raising bees, and we were always planning on doing what they call permaculture. We were going to start the permaculture out there, and to survive, to help us our income. And that didn't work out. You know, if we have to taken away. If we get kicked off the land, that's gone. That was our dream, is to survive on the land and to make it like a shopping. You ever heard of a food forest? You step out your door and there's all the food that you want on trees, on bushes, on plants, and that's what we wanted to do. Permaculture is really an excellent agricultural process.
And after the fire, the owls, lizards, everything, nature is just destroyed. So we kind of just been nurturing that right now.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, and we'd hear these trees, 2 or 3 trees at first, falling down every night. It just breaks my heart every time I heard them crash to the ground, and then it's like 2 or 3 a week, but still they're dead and they're falling. It's heartbreaking.
And the bats, we did have a swarm of bats, but there's, we're trying to bring all that stuff back, the bees, the bats, the lizards.
You've been devastated.
Yeah.
The land's been devastated.
We're devastated, but I feel for the, because we could get up and go,
And this is the thing. I mean, they're basically the remediation, but it's about you living as you can in a tent on your own land, and it's about ash remediation from the fire. And those are the 2 primary. And then the fact that FEMA never approved your remediation contracts, and then when you did the remediation contract yourself, they're coming in and saying that you did it without the proper codes, right? You basically, even though you were doing what they wanted you to do, that they were pressuring you to do.
We never received anything in the mail email saying, you know, this is how it should be done, and we've asked.
We went to talk with them, you know, and we did notice that all the other properties had a paper where the county said, this is what we want you to do, but ours didn't have one. So they kind of just like, you're on your own, you know, and we were on our own. We didn't know what to do, and so we decided we need to move one step at a time, move forward. That's why we did what we did. We had plans of doing this all along, making it into a permaculture establishment where we could grow our own food and support ourselves off the land.
Yeah.
And we tried our best to do that. We were going to build greenhouses. We were going to build grow bamboo. We had 40 beehives that got burned up. We were going to build or grow mushrooms. The two main things were bamboo and mushrooms. That was going to be our money makers, and whatever else we can come across that we can do there on the land.
Yeah.
I redid the dam. The dam was kind of eroded because when we left we couldn't maintain the spillway, so it kind of got eroded. So I fixed that up while we were doing the remediation, and I think that is what started the whole thing. I think because the Fish and Game guy came out and said, did you have a permit to put that dam in? And I said the dam was there when we bought the land, you know, so it's grandfathered in. And I think that's what started the whole thing, was that dam. And then he says, well, you got to have permits to do the dam, and then permits to do all the grading, as you didn't get engineer to design the water flow and everything off it.
Yeah.
Well, and then he sicked the county on us too, along with the realtor. I think both of them.
Right, because you got a realtor came up trying to buy your property, and then after all of a sudden after that, somebody filed a complaint against you. And you know, that is a big question about code enforcement right now all around the state, is that basically real estate development is using it as a way to get properties, dislodge properties, literally steal people's properties. So thank you for sharing that, and let's get on this, because this shit is appalling, absolutely appalling.